Hi, Mark. You've heard this type of story many times. I grew up in church. I walked away from it. And my grandmother, of all people, when we had our first child in '97, said, you need to get back in a church and you need to have that kid grow up in a church. And it made sense to me. I knew what she was talking about. So I did the right thing and I sent my wife to your church to see what it was like and to make sure the bathrooms were nice. And she came back with a report that it was. And I remember my very first GCC service. You were speaking in that front lobby area, and you used the song I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For by U2, and then you used a movie clip from a Kevin Costner movie, For Love of the Game. And all I kept thinking was, how can a pastor use pop culture to tell me that Jesus loves me and that I actually have a purpose? And that was also new to me. I never heard the word purpose growing up in church, not the church I went to. So this was a whole new idea that I was created for a purpose and there was a plan for me, and I had the opportunity to bring up there down here. Fast forward to Core Class 101. My wife and I are sitting, I know exactly the table we were sitting at, and you were teaching core class, kind of the why behind the what. And you got to a part in core class where you basically shared the gospel. And it was the gospel like I'd never heard it before. And it came alive to me at the age of 30-ish. And I understood it, and it was crystal clear, and you spoke in a language that I could understand. And I remember signing the line and going, I'm in, I'm ready to go. And of course we had another 5.5 hours to go, but I knew right then that I was in. And once again, just the word purpose and a plan for my life. So Mark, you invited me in, and I so appreciated that. I did some dramas. I was in the band for a while. Miss Sheila, I don't know if you'll remember this. I did some puppet ministry with you down in the Penguin Room, which was fun. And then in fall of 2002, I left a successful radio career to come be a part of your team in student ministry. And I remember being at your house real late at night, and you kind of laid it out for me in these documents of like, here's what's expected of you, and here's what I'd love for you to do, and here's how you're going to fit into this whole thing. And so we did it, and we did it together. And you invited me to Camp Adventure, where I'm standing right now, and we played Valley games, and we went flying down this hill, and we jumped up and down with the kids every night, and we slept in these rustic cabins, made some crazy videos. We had a blob out here shooting kids across the lake. I went on my first mission trip with Granger Community Church because you were teaching me that other people matter in this world. And so we took high school students to Mexico. We took them to the Bahamas. It was amazing. I watched your daughter fall in love with John on a mission trip. Man, that was a long time ago. You encouraged us to continue to educate ourselves in this faith walk. And I remember in 2003, my wife and I were invited by you to go to Catalyst in Atlanta. And we were sitting with a big chunk of GCC people, and you were sitting right behind me with Miss Sheila, and you disappeared for a while, and you came back, and you tapped me on the shoulder, and you handed me this book. And I was like, Mark, what's this? He goes, it's for you. And I opened it up, and it was the John Maxwell Leadership Bible. And here's what you wrote in 2003. Corey, sometimes God taps a man. Rock the world and carry his cause and lead his people. When God called you, he called such a man. I am proud of you. Lead on, Mark Beeson. I have this in a place where I look at it every single day, Mark. That's the impact you have on me. That's the spiritual practices you have taught me over the years. You've allowed me on your church stage. I still get people commenting. They'll come up to me and say, God's working on the puzzle the size of a universe, and you and I are the little pieces that fit into that puzzle. Yeah, all these memories of Camp Adventure are flooding back to me right now. But here's the thing about Camp Adventure. I got to see another side of you that a lot of people didn't. And I hope you remember this because this meant so much to me. I'd be working on a video in one of these cabins by myself during the day while everybody was out having fun and games. You walked in, pulled up a chair, and you sat with me for what felt like hours. And it was just two guys talking about Jesus and life and marriage and dreaming about the future together. And you're such a rock star to me. You're a pastor of a huge, gigantic church, but you gave me a few minutes. And you did that so many times out here, back at church, in our regular life, and that meant so much to me. So there's a laundry list of stuff you've taught me. A laundry list. You know, whether it comes down to the basic tick in the next right step and so many others. As I'm standing here, I'm thinking, ding, 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 ding. So I want to say this to you, Mark, and I hope you hear this. I apologize for letting you down back in the day. But at the same time, I hope from the sidelines you see what I've done since then. And I'm doing the best I can. And I've got an awfully big stage that I'm performing on these days. And a lot of the stuff that comes out of this mouth, I learned from you. I love you. I'm praying for you. You're like a dad to me. And I'm yanking for you along with a lot of other people. I love you, pal. And I hope to see you soon.